Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one.
Our Belize Watch team traveled to Lower Dover Field Station in Unitedville in the Cayo district, where Dr. John Walden was conducting work as part of the Belize Valley Archaeological Reconnaissance project. We will have details of our visit after this break to hear from our partners, Del Martin, Siltgrass Farms, Minister Kevin Bernard, and the Barry.
It's the only way to go. We stay apart, then we have to fall. Count on you, count on one and all. It's not for you, not for me, it's not for we, it's not for you.
At Siltgrass Farms, we believe in more than just growing food. We're cultivating a future. Across 9,000 acres in the foothills of the Maya Mountains, our family of farms grows a vibrant array of crops: coconuts, citrus, cacao, watermelons, avocados. But our mission goes beyond harvests. Through sustainable agriculture, we are not just growing crops, we're strengthening ecosystems and reversing the impacts of climate change. Siltgrass Farms is a part of a global movement, transforming modern food systems into living stories of nutrition, nature, and people. From our fields to your table, every product tells a story of health and hope for the future.
Orange Walk, the future is brighter. Since Kevin Bernard became your representative, progress has never stopped, with Plan Belize 2.0 leading the way. In Palmar, 2 main roads have been paved. The main road that passes through Tower Hill Village has been paved, connecting our community. In Tan Pine Ridge, the entire road has been paved, a major step forward. And every month, new roads are being paved in Orange Walk East. Kevin Bernard is committed to building a stronger Orange Walk East, one road at a time. Together, we're moving forward. Kevin is the people's champion.
Debari is your one-stop store of choice. We have an array of electronics and accessories to keep you connected. Your home will be the envy of your friends when you choose from a wide variety of household appliances. We can help you dress the entire family in style and comfort with our selection of clothing and footwear. Visit our store on Albert Street in Belize City, San Pedro, La Isla Bonita, Park Street in Orange Walk Town, Belmopan, and San Ignacio, Santa Elena. Debari, get more, pay less.
Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one.
How about Lower Dover? That's right, Lower Dover. Lower, lower, meaning that you're down low. Dover, I guess, white cliffs of Dover. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Lower Dover, here in Unitedville in the Cayo district. And we are going to have a good time today, right, Dr. John?
Yes, indeed we are.
Yeah, Dr. John is here with John.
Lovely to
John,
see you, sir.
You have a surname that you have to remind me of.
Yes, Walden.
Walden.
My name's John Walden, yes.
John Walden from?
From the town of Malden.
Malden. And,
yes.
And talking of Malden is where?
In Essex in the UK.
In Essex in the UK?
Yes.
But you're in Belize?
I am in Belize, where I'm conducting archaeological investigations as part of the Belize Valley Archaeological Reconnaissance project with Dr. Jaime Arway.
Okay.
Yes.
And we have the owner of Lower Dover.
Indeed. My name is Madeline Reynolds. I'm one of the directors of Lower Dover. Been here quite a while and Since 1985, we've been working on projects here at Lower Dover.
And where are you from originally, Madeline?
Originally from California, but my adult life was in the beautiful town of Chicago. But I moved here full-time in 2008.
And what brought you here?
Research. Husband Bill has an advanced degree in geography, and one of the professors at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, world-renowned on the studies of British Honduras and limestone. And when he became a professor that my husband studied under, my husband and the Professor Michael Day would come down here and do field work. And it evolved to where we were going to buy some property to establish a field station, and that's what it's been since 1985.
So this started as a field station.
It still is a field station.
Still a field station.
That's what we're doing here today.
But I see hotel rooms and...
Right. Well, our mission is to foster environmental, ecosystem-friendly research, education, and sustainable tourism.
Okay. Very good.
That's what it is.
And how has it been for you in Belize? Was it a smart decision?
This was a scrappy cattle pasture, and luckily the cows never got onto the side where the Mayan ruins are.
I'll tell you a secret. When we were coming in, right, there was this bull that stood in the middle of the road and refused to move. Right, so the cattle are still controlling.
Actually, that's what happened to me at the agriculture show. I had a big pig standing in front of me, and I grew up on a farm, so yeah, I'm not afraid of the cows.
And how did you meet Dr. John? Dr. John, how did you come across?
So I was looking for somewhere to carry out PhD research, and this was 10 years ago now. I first came to Lower Dover in 2015.
You were 15 years old then, John?
Oh, how old was I then? I don't know. I guess I was about 28 back then. Yes, 28. I came here and I met Miss Maddie and her husband, Mr. Bill, and started conducting ancient Maya settlement survey work. I was working here with Dr. Rafael Guerra, who was doing his PhD research in the site core. So, been here 10 years doing mainly ancient Maya archaeology. But in recent years, we've started looking at a historic period site, which Miss Maddie actually turned us on to.
So, Miss Maddie, you knew about the historical sites before you bought the property, right?
No.
You didn't?
I mean, we bought the property because on three sides there's waterways and it doesn't flood up here, and the geography people that I run with, they were keen on this type of property. But just like ancient Mayan days, it's all about location, location, location. So it's near water, near development, near highways, doesn't flood, near farmable soils, and so, yeah, it was a good deal.
It's along the banks of the Belize River. Right?
Yeah, when we bought it in 1985, people were like, oh, that's not going to grow tomatoes over there. There's too much clay in the soil, and we're like, no, our intention has always been to foster conservation, environmental conservation.
And how did you come across the remains of these ruins, of these cities?
They're all over the place.
I know they're all over the place.
They're right here.
How did you discover the ones that I had Lower Dover?
When B&E was trying to, they were exploring for oil. They were coming on a property looking for places to drill. And when we were back there, like, oh my God, this is like big stuff. When we were clearing the plantation, husband Bill, who's the geographer, you notice big hills that are in the back of the plantation that shouldn't be near the river, and it's obvious actually. It's a Mayan site. The mounds. Right.
Yeah. And how did you get in touch with him? He came to do his studies.
Well, we called up Jaime Awe, and it's our intent to do conservation, habitat restoration, and so when we're conserving the forest from development, we're also conserving these Mayan sites, and so we wanted to get the academics involved to make sure that everything is registered properly, and we're working with the government. So we kept calling Jaime, who was at the time was the director of archaeology. Yeah. He's like, we know where all the big sites are, and then, oh my God, look at all these sites that are right here. It was pre-LIDAR. Once LIDAR happened, then it was a game changer for archaeology. They know where all the Mayan sites. So if you're out there with private property and you think you're hiding some private property, they know where it is because the LIDAR has revealed what's under the trees.
Yeah. Lower Dover. right?
Yes.
You know, you are from Britain and you are from the United States.
Indeed.
Dover, as we know, and we mentioned it earlier on, is the White Cliffs of Dover. And
Yeah.
when personally I've been there, I've seen those white cliffs, and I could still see them. If I do so, I can still see them. But you know, so
You're asking about the history of the name?
Of the name, yeah.
There is, Dr. McDay has old maps of establishments that were here that were called Dover. And we think, we don't know, still that's part of the investigation to be revealed. There is some very large rocks that are at the granite, right here at the confluence of Big Barton Creek and Little Barton Creek. And so there's a giant eddy that's right in front of these big rocks. And so it makes sense that there probably was a logging camp in front of this big eddy with in front of the White Cliffs of Dover, because it makes sense back in the 1700s, 1600s.
Yeah, they would have been Britishers anyway.
It would have been hard to see where you are on the river, but when you see this big granite outcropping with a big eddy right in front of it, it makes sense that it would make it easy to be a camp.
Mm-hmm. And so the name Dover.
Was here, and since we're on the bottom. We're next to the river. It makes sense for it to be Lower Dover.
Lower Dover.
The lowest part of the Dover property.
Lower Dover. When you first met Madeline, what was it like for you?
Oh, it was fantastic.
What about Lower Dover, and you are from Britain?
Well, so I was primarily looking for somewhere to conduct dissertation work, and actually there've been quite a lot of archaeological investigations in this region, especially in the settlement. So in the 1960s, on the north side of the river, there was a big Harvard project, and they'd excavated a lot of the settlement up there, the ancient Maya mounds, and those data were available in the museum. And a separate project headed by the late James Garber, Dr. James Garber of Texas State University, worked at Floral Park. And I had access to all of this material. So really graciously, Dr. Cat Brown, Dr. James Garber gave me access to their materials. And then we could get access to the museum materials from the north side of the river. So basically we excavated a lot of the remaining settlements, so south of here into Unitedville, up in around Bartomami Way, so we could get a really complete understanding of what ancient Maya life was like here. And that was way before I got interested in the historical period and all the new site that we've discovered here. Yeah,
because the Mayan site here, and there's also a historical site, like you're saying, where that the old quote unquote the Baymen may have used, right?
Yes, indeed. So there's actually several occupations. So there's an ancient Maya site, and then it seems like potentially the Maya left the area, and then the Maya come back around AD 1300 and reoccupy for several hundred years before Spanish colonization. And then we don't really know what's happening here between about 1500 and 1700, and then we've got evidence of logging, starting with logwood and then mahogany in the area from 1700, 1800 and up to about 1900. So a long and complex history.
Yeah. Indeed. Does it have anything to do with the Battle of Laboring Creek? Because I can recall about that particular battle that the Spaniards got into their boats in San Ignacio, what is today San Ignacio, came down the river. Spanish lookout was a lookout point.
Yes.
And then they went as far as Laboring Creek and were rerouted and sent back.
And then went back.
You know about that battle, right?
Yeah. So we actually haven't found a great deal from that time period here. So it's one of the time periods where we have very little information is this Spanish occupation. I know up in Roaring Creek, Dr. Arway previously found some Spanish olive jars and Spanish conquistador's sword.
Yeah.
And there's been other finds, also the mission at Tipu on the McCall River. But actually in this little corner of Cayo district, we've got very little from that time period. But we're finding new stuff every day, so maybe it's still buried out there.
All right. Well, I can't wait to go exploring. And so here we go. Dr. John, you brought me up a trail, right?
Yes,
or down a trail. Was it up or down?
I guess there's some ups and some downs, I guess, with the trail and with life. But yeah, I guess it was up and down. We got out here. But now we're stood just by the Belize River where it meets Barton Creek. And this was an important place in the past for logging because people would float the logs, the mahogany, down Big Barton Creek.
Okay.
And we probably think there was folks hanging out here, probably moving the logs onto the Belize River where they'd be floated downriver to Belize City.
So what work is being conducted here? I see a lot of little flags and markers and a lot of equipment. What are you looking for here?
So for a long time we were finding small pieces of historic period ceramics, broken glass on the trail, small pieces of metal. So we knew that there was this historic occupation. And I was actually speaking with Don Hector Silva, who told me there had been a logging camp out here that had been historically raided by the San Pedro Mayas in the late 1860s. So after Maddie voiced interest in investigating the site, we decided to come out and start investigating the historic period occupation. And the method we decided to use was a metal detection survey to get the limits of the site. And basically what this involves is just using a metal detector to flag all the metal objects which would have been left here.
And John, let us just say that it's raining.
Yes.
So we are standing in the forest, but it's raining. The skies are dark, water is pouring, there's an umbrella over us. So I just need to say all of that to paint the picture as to what is happening right now.
Yeah.
And we walked along a long, I would say almost a mile stretch, right?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, so we walked from the field station down to the confluence where we are right now. So it's a little bit of a trek, and we're actually walking all through the ancient Maya ruins, the ancient Maya site of Lower Dover, which is sat here on the escarpment.
The cliffs, the Dover.
Yes.
How far are we from those cliffs?
Oh, okay. So the little escarpment from which it got its name, Lower Dover, I think is about 600 metres down the bank on the southern side. Okay. So we're not too far, just down there. Yep.
So I guess whenever like the Ruta Maya would pass here,
yes,
they have to pass the area.
Yeah, the Ruta Maya passes right down the Belize River just there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Now, what exactly do you expect to find here? What all these markers and all this testing equipment and what do you expect to find here?
Well, so we weren't sure what we would find. We knew there was historic period materials, but actually what we found really surpassed all our expectations. Both what we found in the ground here and what Mr. Giovanni Pinello and Miss Mary Alpuche found in the archives. So since we started last summer, the metal detection survey, which is being led out here, we've discovered 19th century flintlock muskets. Muskets. We possibly found part of a broken sword. We found axes. We found logging paraphernalia. We found some pretty fancy British-made porcelain. Yesterday we found an 1834 silver coin. So a real silver coin, a British Endura silver coin.
Yes. What monarch is on the coin?
William IV, I believe. Yes.
That's a long time ago. That's on the 1700s.
That is. So it's been a really interesting array of artifacts, and we're not quite sure what they're all telling us thus far. But we've got a pretty solid occupation here. We think from the mid 1800s through to maybe 1900. Simultaneously with all this archaeological work, the archival work and the historical research has shown that we probably did have a Maya raid out here around 1867 at the Mount Hope Mahogany Works, and this might be what the muskets and all the ammunition were all related to. So we're starting to get a really interesting picture that's coming out.
So the Maya would raid often. That's what these settlements often. That's what you're telling me.
So historically, it's quite a complicated period in which the Pacifico Mayas, which are north,
Pacifico Mayas.
They were called Pacifico Mayas, and they were based at a site called Chichen Ha, which was just north of British Honduras, and they were being armed by the Mexican state to fight the Khrushchev or the caste war Mayas, who were being armed by the British. Now, there was peaceful Maya villages north of here in San Pedro, Yulbac, San Jose. And the Pacifico Mayas moved down, and there was a revolt against the logging camp owners, many of whom had basically the Mayas had been worked as indentured servants at the camps. And so we actually have a 1868 ransom note from Marcos Canul and Rafael Chan, who were the leaders of these, the Maya resistant, the Icache Mayas. And that was addressed to the commanders of the logging camp here at Mount Hope. So the Mount Hope mahogany works, so we have a documented San Pedro Maya raid, and we have this ransom note, which Mr. Giovanni Pinello came across. So it's this complicated historical picture, but a lot of the muskets and things we found, twisted, bent out of shape, they've been intentionally decommissioned. So we think we might have a decommissioned weapons cache that might be associated with that very raid.
So that's what you're searching for here?
Yeah, so first of all, we're trying to understand the historical occupation of the site. Right now we've got a lot of evidence of that they were probably floating mahogany on the river, and we've got some of the logging paraphernalia. We also have a lot of weaponry. We were trying to establish if there was an earlier logwood camp here from the logwood period, so the late 1700s, early 1800s, and that much is not clear to us.
Because it was logwood before mahogany.
Yes, it was
right? It was logwood before mahogany because the logwood was used for dye in Europe.
Yes.
So that was a big one. Then mahogany came after.
Yeah, so the mahogany came later, and usually the logwood was growing along the river banks, and so we'd maybe expect logwood here. There's still logwood growing around here, so maybe this was where they started life as a logwood camp, and then later was repurposed for the transshipment of the mahogany. It was floating down Barton Creek onto the Belize River. That's our hypothesis, at least. That's what we're trying to investigate. And so when we started, we were really interested in dating the site and investigating the logging. Little did we know we'd find so much weaponry here, which really started to change things. But from the outset, various people had spoken to me about the Icache raid, the Pacifico Mayas, and so I think what we're finding is probably speaking to how violent that period was and these types of conflicts that were occurring.
Yeah, and how interconnected everything is, because when you think of the Icache Maya and you think of Marcos Canul, you think of the Orange Walk district.
Yes.
Right? And the Yalbac area and what have you. And here we are in the Cayo district.
Yes.
Which is, it's not very, very far, but it's some distance anyway.
Yeah, so it's this area where traditionally we see the caste war was happening in Mexico and in parts of it in northern Belize with the raids, but it was clearly impacting people in different ways all over Cayo district as well. Yeah.
And this substantiates what we know, that people fleeing the caste war actually settled not only in northern Belize, but also in the western parts of our country, such as we are seeing here in this area. So it might have been those same people fleeing from the caste war that attacked the buccaneers or Britishers that were here cutting logwood and mahogany.
Yeah, that certainly seems to be the case. So the San Pedro villages largely seem to be fairly peaceful. The village alcalde, I think his name was Assumption Eck, was allied with the British. But then I think there was a movement of Canul and these folks further south, partly to extort the ransom from the camps, but I think they probably found a lot of sympathy with Mayas who'd been working here maybe for very low pay, no pay at all, or in problematic circumstances. And so that's possibly what led to this, but it's hard to say. And I think there's still a lot of historical and archaeological research that needs to be done.
So the story is developing as you go along?
Very, very much so. And we're finding a far more amazing story than I ever anticipated at first. One that's involved a whole load of different people. A lot of the original oral history that people were telling us about has been very much substantiated, both in the records and in the ground, as we're discovering here.
When we come back, Dr. Sheldon Skaggs shares more details on the discoveries on site. We will have that for you after this break to hear from our partners, Del Martin, Silkgrass Farms, Minister Kevin Bernard, and DeBarry.
But guess what? All are we the one.
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Esmeralda Elizabeth Raimundo Pérez. Trabajo en el vivero de la vainilla, Silkgrass Farms. Y me gustan las plantas de vainilla en Silkgrass Farms porque son unas plantas que me distraen, me relajan. Me gusta mi ambiente de trabajo.
My name is Carlos Miranda. I am a proud employee of Silkgrass Farms. I have been working since 2021. I am VCO operator and I am proudly produce virgin coconut oil.
My name is Carlitos Chan. I'm a mechanic maintenance / welder. 4 years now since I'm working with Silkgrass Enterprises. I'm very satisfied. I'm glad with everything that Silkgrass Enterprises allows their workers, and our products are very quality products. So that's what I love about it as well.
Bueno, mi nombre es José Jaime Brizuela, trabajo en Silkgrass Farm y voy para tiempo de 5 años y pues me siento agradecido primeramente con Dios porque Dios nos ha dado trabajo y por los jefes también que han invertido aquí y nos están dando ese apoyo del trabajo. Me siento bien con ellos, contento con los jefes porque se han portado bien conmigo y me gusta todo el trabajo que hacemos aquí en el campo. Me siento feliz, contento, agradecido más primeramente con Dios, porque Él es el que nos da la vida, nos da todo.
Orange Walk, the future is brighter. Since Kevin Bernard became your representative, progress has never stopped, with Plan Belize 2.0 leading the way. In Palmar, 2 main roads have been paved. The main road that passes through Tower Hill Village has been paved, connecting our community. In Tan Pine Ridge, the entire road has been paved, a major step forward. And every month, new roads are being paved in Orange Walk East. Kevin Bernard is committed to building a stronger Orange Walk East, one road at a time. Together, we're moving forward. Kevin is the people's champion.
DeBarry is your one-stop store of choice. We have an array of electronics and accessories to keep you connected. Your home will be the envy of your friends when you choose from a wide variety of household appliances. We can help you dress the entire family in style and comfort with our selection of clothing and footwear. Visit our store on Albert Street in Belize City, San Pedro, La Isla Bonita, Park Street in Orange Walk Town, Belmopan, and San Ignacio, Santa Elena. DeBarry, get more, pay less.
Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one.
I'm fine, doctor. So I'm being introduced now to Dr.
So this is Dr. Sheldon Skaggs.
From the City University of New York.
Dr. Sheldon, come closer.
Okay.
Because it's raining.
Yes.
And we need to shelter a little bit. Let's just tell folks that we're in the middle of the forest here. It's raining. Some huge trees around us, some Corozo trees and what have you. But we are on the banks of the Belize River.
Absolutely.
And you are working here. No, how you came to Belize?
I started in Belize because I have a geoarchaeology degree. So a geoarchaeology degree means that I analyze artifacts, and I also specialize in finding sites without digging them.
Finding sites without digging them.
Right. And so
no, I need you to expand that.
Yes, I will. So a lot of times I use what's called ground penetrating radar. So if you have a cell phone, it's giving off radio waves. All right, and that's how it communicates wirelessly with the satellites. We've turned those radio waves into the ground, and instead of finding satellites, we find differences in the soil. Okay. And we map those, and then from that I can sometimes see walls or platforms or things like that. And I tell John, dig here, dig here, dig here.
You're the man of that.
Right. So, I like to say, my average is as good as a good batter in baseball. So about 35-40% success rate.
So that means he has to dig about 3 holes to get one correct, right?
Yes, absolutely. So
working him very hard, though.
Yes. And so I started that on other projects. And I met John in town as archaeologists congregate together. And he has always wanted me to come out to Lower Dover, but it gets harder and harder to bring the GPR down every year because of the airline restrictions. And so he said, well, you don't need the GPR. I know you do metal detecting as one of your geophysical surveys. I have a potential historical component to the area I'm working. And so I said, sure, that sounds lovely. And so then I came out with this metal detector. This is I want to be brand agnostic, so I'm not going to tell you the brand. People who do metal detecting will know the brand.
It's making noise.
It is, because it's detecting metal. And so if I run it over my shoes...
My keys in my pocket?
Your keys, yep.
Oh my goodness.
All right, it's same as the metal detectors you go through the airport. Okay, that's the same concept. It creates a magnetic field that interacts with the iron in the ground, which sends the magnetic field back, and it interprets that to some degree, and I interpret what I'm hearing as well with my ears. And the controller, since it's raining, is in my pocket, and that's why the beeping is not, you don't see the controller here.
But usually you have a controller.
Right, yeah, you have the controller here, or I have the controller in my headphones. I like to work with the headphones on. And so I came out and we looked at different areas around, like the lower part. I didn't think there was much hope down there because of the flooding, and that just wasn't, from my knowledge of historical sites, that's not where I would camp.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right?
Because
you get flooded, it's just too close to the river. You want to be on the next terrace or a terrace above that up. And so then I targeted this flat area up here. I was scanning to see where we should set up the lines. I got a really loud hit, and I dug it up, and it was a bearded axe. And so that was the very first thing, and you'll see that back in the lab.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. So that was a good hit.
That was absolutely, and I handed it to John and said, okay, I'm going to the coast. You've got a logging camp here. And he said, no, you're not. I'm paying you to work here. So then we set up 5 different lines across the site here to get an idea and how far we could cut down the vegetation. It was even worse than it is now back then. So, but we got 5 lines. We wound up getting 90 artifacts from the 1890. 90.
That's more than 25%.
Right. Well, yeah. Now this is much more accurate than the GPR based on what we're doing. But the GPR can see 2 feet down. This can only see maybe a foot.
Okay.
Foot and a half.
Now, if you were asked to reconstruct what could have been here, what would you tell me?
All right, so I would say, based on the number of blacksmithed nails that are about that long, and you'll probably see some of those as well, we have some sort of construction like houses or something like that. We have a log dog, which is something that you bang.
Log dog.
So it's a big, big metal object with spikes on both ends, and you use it to hold logs down or to, manage the logs in the raft or whatever. We have 2 axes. We have, as he mentioned, the musket barrels, which is not a usual find. So I believe they were probably loading mahogany down from the trails or bringing them in by ox, assembling them here, and then sliding them down into the river. And if any of them are caught in the bend, they're probably having to go from here up there to break up log jams and keep everything flowing. The time period, based on my knowledge of the cultural history, is, as John said, probably not before the 1800s. Probably, I would say, closer to 1850 to 1880, based on the artifacts that we've found out of the ground.
Do you think there might have been a shoot here?
Well, or something. We haven't found chain. That's the one thing we have not found.
How the anchors? Because they would use anchors.
Right, and we haven't found anything large like that, and that's the only reason I hesitate to say for sure what's here. It could have been, this is the spot they were camping and setting up buildings, bringing their tools back, and they were dropping them in the river somewhere close that we haven't found.
So it wasn't a boom, really.
Right, the last year it was just to find the site. This year I've been putting survey transects out to see, because one of the things is, well, how do you know that just isn't the background metal concentration here in the jungle? Because the second we get out of the 2024 grid, we find no old metal. It's all concentrated in this area that right around the bushed area here is the concentration, and every transect I put away from this area stops finding artifacts. And so there was a activity concentration here. It's up to myself and John to figure out a romantic story to put with that that's plausible, but you never know 100% based on what you find, especially because I don't find ceramics, I don't find glass, I only find metal.
Any sign of buildings?
Right. If we were going to find a building, we would have to cover everything instead of just 5 transects, and then you'll see all of the nails where the wood either rotted or burned, and it drops a halo of iron nails all around that building. And sometimes, if you're really lucky and you map everything really well, you can actually see the outline of buildings. But with our survey lines, we just get clusters of nails that that suggest something's going on, but we don't know for sure. We don't have like the outlines. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but they're the most of the hand wrought nails are about that. The blacksmith nails are about that long. So they're big nails.
Iron?
Iron, yes. And this detector will detect iron objects, but I can also, to some, more like a batting average on whether it's an iron object or whether it is a non-iron object like tin, copper, silver, etc. And so the silver coin did read up differently than the iron nail.
I know that silver coin that Dr. John spoke about. How old is it again?
It is from 1834.
1834.
And it's 3 halfpence. So it's 1.5 pence.
Yeah.
That's a very unusual denomination.
Very unusual.
It actually, they started minting them in 1834. So this is the first one minted. They were minted for the colonies and West Indies.
I could just imagine someone, having that in their pockets and dropping it.
It's not in their pocket, though, because they drilled a hole in it. And so they were wearing it. Exactly. So I think it was dropped later than 1834, maybe 1850s, 1860s.
Yeah, might have passed on.
Right. And we're very sorry that they lost it here, and they were probably very, very bummed out. But it's good for us because we find it. And yeah.
I could imagine somebody dropping their coin and searching all over.
Right. I've already found one trowel from an archaeologist that way. It fell out of their pocket, and they couldn't find it because it went under the leaves. And I said, well, I've got a metal detector. Let's go find it. So it's very easy to lose things here. Yes. Yeah. And so, but John may explain what Mundi money is, because they use that pattern. That's a very special coin. That's not what this is, but for whatever reason, William IV decided to use the Mundi money pattern, add the half to it, and then issue it to the colonies. They made 800,000 only of the coin that we've got back in the lab.
The Mundi is M-A-U-N-D-Y, right?
Yes.
And then the Mundi money was
by the royalty.
By royalty to the poor.
Right, exactly. It's on that pattern, but it's not that money, because that money is issued in 1 pence, 2 pence, etc., and this is 1.5. And
is there anything older than that? Any occurrence that has been discovered here?
So this is one of the complicated sort of mysteries we're trying to solve. So Miss Mary Alpuche, who's here with us today, has done a lot of work in the archives and has found records of that the land was owned by someone called Parker. And there's a picture of a house here, basically at the confluence of Barton Creek and the river, and this dates to about 1790. So we've actually got historical evidence of people here. We've got inventories of livestock, of objects that were here in the 1790s, 1800s, but we have yet to find any archaeological evidence of this.
I listened to you talking about the 1790, right? And my mind goes back to 1798, the Battle of St. George's Key, right? I went back there because when the Battle of St. George's Key was being fought, there were people living all the way in here. Settlers were living all the way in here, cutting mahogany and what have you. So pretty much it was not just concentrated where Belize Tongue is, but pretty much the interior was already occupied going up the river.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way, and from a lot of the maps that she's managed to find, it seems that we've got names of all different families. So down Barton Creek, there was a family called Tucker who owned land out there, and there's houses shown on the map. So actually one task that we could actually, in the future, a task would be to try and track down all of these different settlements from these historic maps, which are scattered up and down the Belize River, the various creeks around here. Although it may be a difficult one, finding them all.
I think this is an important finding.
Right, and I would say, just because I say the nail could be from the 1800s, blacksmithing nails go back all the way to Roman times.
Oh, yeah?
And so how do you tell a blacksmith nail from the 1800s versus the 1700s or the 1600s? You really can't. And I am very conservative, so I will give you the number of the youngest I think it can be. So I'm not sure when Belize stopped blacksmithing nails and went to the manufactured nails. In the United States, it would be the 1830s.
Okay.
And so based on the muskets and some other things we've found, I kind of have an average idea of what the pattern looks like, and that's where I base my numbers off of. It could be those nails are from 1700s. I just can't say that for sure, and so I won't. Right?
No. You have found so much here that as you both mentioned, and you're still here searching today. Right. What are you looking for today?
For today, for 2025, it was to establish what I call negative data.
Negative data?
I have to, again, if I have finds everywhere I go, how do I know that that just isn't what it's like all across the jungle? Okay. So this time it was to find blank areas where there are no finds. And that's hard for everybody, but you have to find that so I can draw an outline around the area. And now I can tell John, anytime you come into this area, if you choose to excavate, you're going to find historical stuff.
In this area?
In this area.
How far would this extend?
It extends up to, like I said, where we've bushed over there.
Okay.
Up to probably another 15, 20 meters past the trees over here, and then just right up to the edge of where it dips down into one of the little ravine gullies. Okay. And I've done enough survey transects off of this hot spot area to know that it doesn't continue in any way that I can find. But again, we never try and remove everything, so that we have things to look at when we have better technology. And so we've only put like 5 lines about a meter and a half wide through here. And so that means there's still stuff here if John wants to come excavate the surface, or, we don't disturb anything that's deeper underground either, because I have to dig it immediately. And I'm digging small holes so I don't see everything that's around it. I just see the metal object, and if I find glass or ceramics or pottery and things, I put those in the same bag. But it's not, it's not a full representation of what's under the ground here. Okay. And we could give you some sounds.
My eyes went to the bearers' flags.
Yes.
And I say, I know those flags have a meaning, but what?
Right. So, the detector will detect iron by one sound, and it will detect, and we put a red flag representing rust, right, for the iron. Okay, and anything that it machine and I think is not an iron object, we put a blue flag.
Okay.
So that blue flag over there, it sounded to me more like a copper signal.
Okay, but so these flags are placed where you get a signal.
Exactly.
So you can dig.
Right. We can dig the smallest hole as possible and recover the artifact.
So,
yeah.
So there are, wherever I see a flag, there's an artifact or something under it.
And that's not even all of them. That was just, we were just coming out and I was training people and we put some flags down knowing you guys would be here so that I could demonstrate some of the sounds of the machine.
But after that you'll remove them, right?
Potentially. Again, if it's in the method, I don't just dig everything. I have a scientific method that I follow and I will leave things in the ground if it's not in my method.
And you leave it in the ground, but you move the flag so that nobody else can come and dig
right, yeah,
and know where it is.
Yes,
right? I understand that.
Yes, absolutely. So, but we'll map them all for sure, and then we'll get a concentration of all the artifacts.
So if you don't have the map, you won't know where the stuff is.
Exactly.
And it's important to tell people that, because you don't want them to come around with shovels and things like that. Hey, if you don't know where it is, you won't find it. It's private property,
You've seen
well
the dogs
protected,
wandering around.
and there are some dogs wandering around. I almost joked with my producer and said, what would you do if you see a jaguar coming at you? But I don't think she
doesn't have a machete with her?
No, she doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. So yes, we are in the jungle.
We are in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is amazing though, and it's very educational indeed. So on each flag we're seeing here, there's a
artifact. Yep. There's at least metal. It could be modern. Maybe John dropped a gum wrapper here last year.
Oh, yeah?
And I'll find that. Yes, maybe. Maybe. Right. I can't tell you how old it is until we dig it up and wash it off and look at it.
Well, if it's a gum wrapper, it will be very...
Yes.
Yes. Very, very young indeed.
Yeah.
Now, moving... can we get an example of what you do?
Absolutely. Sure.
Before we put a flag, you want me to get a flag or...
I've got one here. So we'll be moving along and
just like that. Let me follow you. Let me follow you. The rain has subsided a bit, so I don't think I'll get wet mud. Let me walk along with you and see.
So
maybe we make the biggest find right now.
Maybe.
Yeah. So nothing so far.
Nothing so far.
Okay, but it's there because that means you have a flag there. So.
Yep. And if I can pull this out of my pocket now that the rain has gone away.
Yeah.
And so you can see it's giving me...
Telling me that something is there, yeah.
Exactly. And if I go multiple directions, on this particular detector...
This is sizable, somewhat it is, yeah.
This is not too bad, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll put this back on here.
Okay.
So this would be one that I would say is likely a non-iron target. And so you heard that sound.
That's a blue, yeah. Now we come to the red.
Now we come to some iron targets.
This is iron.
And you see how clear on the screen there's a line going from the upper left to the lower right, and it's giving me the number 00. That's how this machine tells me this is an iron target.
Okay.
All right. And so the last noise that we want you to hear so that you get lots of good sounds of what this detector sounds like is, it kind of detects all around this area. But if I want to be more precise, I go into what's called pinpoint mode.
Pinpoint.
So I have this little bullseye target that I push.
That tells you exactly where.
Right. And now it's going to sound like a crying baby. And when the baby is unhappiest, that's right. You're right over the target. And then as I move further away, it gets less unhappy.
Okay.
And so, ooh, that sounds pretty mad, right?
Yes. So this
All
is
right,
the spot.
that's the spot.
Where's the shovel? Let's start.
That is the danger. And then I'll turn 90 degrees and do the same thing. So the way you're going to dig...
This is another dig now.
This is just down the path. We have another iron target. It looks almost identical to the last target.
Okay.
Nobody knows what's under the ground. So
not even you?
Not even I. I suspect, I'm 80% confident it's another nail.
Let me use my laser vision and see.
Right.
Oh, no, I can't see
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Like last time, you're going to cut it like a cake, all four sides, and we're going to try and flip it over.
Okay.
And then we're going to figure out whether it's still in the hole or whether it's in the plug that we pulled out.
You think I can join your team?
Yes, I think you could.
Okay.
You just have to talk to John. He's a very nice
John,
guy.
I'd like to join this team, John. All right.
We need all the help we can get.
All right.
I can hold the microphone.
You
if
hold the
would like.
microphone for me,
Yeah,
and then here, right?
Yes.
Am I okay here?
You're okay there.
Okay. Here we go now. Let me just
And you're doing
get
it
this
straight. Great.
Get that
You're
out
doing
of
it
the
like
way.
a pro already.
Sure.
Okay. And then you turn and do one of the other sides.
On this side here.
Yeah, perfect.
I could come over okay, you know.
You could. It's not that hard, honestly.
No, so this is fun.
It is.
Spending the entire day like this.
Yep. And then the last one, I will move out of the way so that you can position yourself.
And then we go here, right?
Yep.
And that's it. That's a little piece of pie that we want to take out.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay. And I will trade the microphone back to
I
you.
give you back the... And the rest is yours. You are the expert.
All right. I hope it comes out in one piece. It doesn't have to, but with wet soil, maybe we'll get lucky. A little bit of a root over here, I think.
There's a root there, yeah.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
Okay.
And we will flip it over.
And where would our object be now?
Well, it's either in the hole.
In the hole or in the no, so we'll find out now whether it's in the hole or in the mound.
Yep.
Hey.
Okay, so this one's a little deeper.
Deeper, yeah.
Yep.
It's not in there. It's down here. Yeah, the first one was in the
plug, so it was
plug.
higher up. Yep.
And this one is deeper down. So we got to do some more work here.
Yep. Okay. Either that or we dug in a slightly wrong spot. So let us try and pinpoint again. Okay, so it's over here a little bit. We missed it, which happens.
It happens?
Yep.
It happens here?
It happens.
Okay, well, you tell me where to put the shovel.
All right, so we're going to try and cut a piece here more.
Okay. So that would be here.
Yes.
That will be here.
Yeah, that'll...
Am I okay there?
Yep.
Bring it
and
up.
then try the sides as well,
the
so you
sides.
take it out as intact as possible.
Ah, there's a root there.
Okay. All right.
We should be somewhere in here.
We hopefully should be in there.
Okay.
So let's try and
Let's
pop this
leave it to your expertise now.
So we'll lay that piece over there.
And there's the root that was
Yes,
us back.
that's always a problem here in the jungle. Okay, so it's still in
It's
there.
still in there.
And it's not over here. Okay. I can't get too close to the shovel or I'll set off the metal detector too. If somebody out there in Belize wants to become a millionaire, all right, you need to figure out a durable, non-metal shovel. And every metal detectorist in the world will buy it from you. Because we constantly detect our own shovels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not in there.
So this means it's deeper and perhaps a bigger object. Yep. There you go. I can see some iron right here.
I see it there, yeah. Listen, yeah.
Yeah, it may be
It's
a kettle fragment or something.
Yeah,
It's longer.
it's bigger than the hole is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's definitely bigger than the hole is. So you'll have to go around it.
Right, and that's going to take us
That would take
30
you
or
a
40
long-
minutes.
Yeah.
But maybe your camera people can get in here and see it, and we'll excavate it and get you a photo of it. Because
Yeah, it's going to take a while. See, it's a huge object. See? It's huge. There it
so
is.
it's right there. Can you see it
Yeah.
compared to my finger?
Uh-huh.
It's right here. And
So it extends maybe all the way that side
Yeah.
and that side. So it goes more under. So it has to be more extensively dug. Yeah.
Well, it's not a nail.
It's definitely not a nail.
Congratulations.
But we did take out a piece of slate.
We did, absolutely. Absolutely. And that'll go in the bag too, because this is not the area you should find slate.
Why not?
Because slate is a metamorphic, and so it would be near the edges of the mountain pine ridge. We're on limestone here, so this is likely brought by the Maya.
Brought by the Maya. So a piece of slate, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I wonder which Maya guy would have brought that so many years ago.
Yeah, who knows?
I'd like to see
We will
a
get it
picture
out.
that.
I will. While you're in the lab, I'll be digging this out, and we'll have it to you before you leave.
Nice. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, Doc, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. It's
And
been a
that's why they're
pleasure.
taking me to the lab now, so we'll go to the
Yep.
lab and see what we'll see.
Absolutely.
All right?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Doc.
All right.
Nice meeting you.
In our final segment, we are in the lab where we see some of the items found on site. Mary Alpuche of the Belize Archives and Record Services and Giovanni Pinello, the Public History Officer at the Institute for Social and Cultural Research, gives us some of the history of the area. We will have that for you after this break to hear from our partners, Del Martin, Silkgrass Farms, Minister Kevin Bernard, and the Barry.
We're breaking out with a new creation. It's been too long, we've got to unite.
Introducing Silkgrass Farms cold pressed juices. 100% natural with zero additives, no added sugar, made only from the freshest fruits. Silkgrass Farms, pure, fresh, sustainable.
Well, my name is Wilson Perez, better known as Chato. I'm the organizer and the president of the New Horizons Sporting Club. In 2022, we had the award and the sponsorship, full sponsorship from the Minister of Health. And now it is the fourth year that he is year after year sponsoring the tournament, and then it is something that has facilitated and eased the job for me, so that I could have a easier and tournament and organizing when it comes to the Mundialito, which is a tournament that exists for the 22 years in Orange Walk, being the oldest district with the tournament. From that is a tournament that we do to keep kids off the streets, to help them, to keep them in positive activities. We have to give credit where it's due, and we have to applaud and thank these people who do the initiative, have the initiative, and help the people and the youth to grow in whatever skills they have.
Debari is your one-stop store of choice. We have an array of electronics and accessories to keep you connected. Your home will be the envy of your friends when you choose from a wide variety of household appliances. We can help you dress the entire family in style and comfort with our selection of clothing and footwear. Visit our store on Albert Street in Belize City, San Pedro, La Isla Bonita, Park Street in Orange Walk Town, Belmopan, and San Ignacio, Santa Elena. Debari, get more, pay less.
Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one.
So, Dr. Sheldon, we left the rainforest.
Yes.
We're now in your lab.
Absolutely.
All right. And we have, what did we find? I mean, when we left there, we were uncovering.
Right. And because it took 20, 30 minutes to get it out, we couldn't film it all. But we have, of course, your nail, which you found. Yes. It's bent. We didn't talk about that, so maybe it was used to hang something, or maybe it just got bent when the... Yeah, maybe.
Somebody
Yeah,
hung something.
exactly. that's possible.
Did you ever find a bent nail before?
Yes, we find a lot of those.
Oh, I thought it was the first one.
No, unfortunately not. But they both tell a story. But what we thought was your iron bar, when we were looking at it in the ground, they got to the other end, and we have a hole, and we have a taper here to an end. So what we have is a knife here. We'll have to clean the dirt off of it in order to get a better ID, but it will probably come out to a point and probably be about that long.
Wow.
So a little short for a machete. It was over 10 centimeters deep, so it's not likely to have been dropped recently. We had a bearded axe as the first find. This was it.
Bearded, where's the beard?
The bearded axe. It's got this distinctive shape. Now, axes are very hard to date, just like nails are very hard to date. But stylistically, we have a few. They don't make axes with these little points at the bottom much anymore. The constriction here and then flaring out to the blade is a little unusual as well. Likely mid to late 1800s, but you could probably find one of these manufactured today as well. Okay. But it might not be exactly this style. But so this is more of what we consider like a chopping axe. It's not like for felling trees particularly. That would be the other axe we found, and I want you to hold this one because that is a serious amount of iron.
This is heavy.
Exactly. So that's
this is about 5 pounds there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very heavy. So this would be a felling axe. So you would be this is what they'd be using to take trees down. And this one is very interesting because I've never seen an axe that has hit something hard, and to me it looks like they hit a nail or something and actually split the end of the axe. And it's almost like, I mean, the chances of hitting a nail head on like that, especially if you're using it on mahogany trees, is small. So this one had to have been used or intentionally destroyed. That's the log dog. Almost looks like an axle wheel. And then you have your hand-wrought spikes. We don't know where this one was. We looked everywhere
this here,
for it. Yeah.
and this would go in the log.
Yeah.
And it would hold back the log on the river bank, right? Yeah, log dog.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
This is historic indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what else you got in there?
So these pipes, what do you think these pipes are? I'll give you a hint.
Give me. Muskets.
These are the musket barrels. You know they're black powder because they're sealed at the end, so you can't put a cartridge in here. So you can only get these by dumping the gunpowder and the bullet down
and then
here.
pushing it down.
And then
cranking.
We have a little bit of the hammer left on this one to pull back. You would prime the pan, and then boom.
That's an old musket.
Yes. So these have to be, well, in the United States, these go out of style when cartridges start coming in about the 1860s. So these are potentially before 1860s. And you know the octagonal barrel, this was all done by a blacksmith. And then we have the finds from 2025. So you found a knife, which is a solid knife. Earlier, we found a folding knife, so it's like a pocket knife.
Yeah.
And it still has a little bit of the bone or horn material on for that the hilt was made out of.
You call these pen knives, no?
Pen knives, friction folders, cut toe knives, those are all descriptions of this sort of knife. And this is based on the little curve here. We think this is an earlier Victorian era folding knife.
It's an amazing sight.
We have one more. You want it? We talked about the coin, out there. Now be very careful with this. It's about the size of a sequin.
When you said a coin, I was thinking of.
This is really hard to find out in the middle of the jungle. It's so small because that is literally a penny and a half worth of silver in 1834.
So, Dr. Sheldon, we have been joined by...
This is Mary, the archival officer, and that we depend on to provide maps and detailed accounts that we can then correlate with the artifacts that we find.
Okay, so, Mary, speak to me.
How I got involved in the project is I had gotten an email from one of
Dr. Walden's students, but he was having a hard time basically describing what he was looking for. Obviously, they were trying to find out the history of the land, what it was used for, etc., I guess based on what they were finding. But he just told me Lower Dover, and honestly, I had no idea where Lower Dover was or is. So the first thing I did was went to Google Map and look up the area, and then went back into the archival records. So I don't know if you're familiar, but in the past, whenever someone was claiming a mahogany work, it had to be surveyed and actually registered, so placed inside the records office. So using some of those old maps, I was able to look at the meandering of the river on Google Maps and match it up to what I believe was Mount Hope and Society Hall area.
Okay.
Right? So this map.
What are some of your findings?
So this map here is an earlier map. This is by Surveyor Lamb. You might hear him or see him a lot on the earlier records from the 1700s. And this is from 1787, and it was when, so you know the Convention of London, 1786. So they're trying to figure out land, where they're going to give land to the new people moving, things like that. But what they're finding out is that the baymen who were here at that time had already gone far beyond the limits of where they should have been cutting. Exactly. So the ones that are marked red here means that these are active sites that are being used. Here, well, not here. The one that we're interested here, which would be Lower Dover, is here, which is marked Parker. Exactly, right? And so we just had the last name Parker, and John was like, could we find out who Parker is? And I'm like, I'm not sure.
Who is Parker?
But we could go into the records. So luckily, earlier this year, the director of the Belize Archives and myself, Kevin Montero and myself, were able to go to Kew to capture some of the earlier records that we don't even have here in Belize, the dispatches that were sent out. And using some of those records that we got back, I was able to confirm that this Parker is Phineas Parker. Phineas Parker, right here with the red line.
Phineas Parker.
So this was at the point when the Spanish were allowing them to decide where they wanted their plantation lands for cultivation to be. And it shows that Phineas Parker is a white male. There was a total, so that was his own household, but he also had 12 enslaved men and 1 enslaved woman. And he requested that his ground be at Mount Hope near Barton Creek. So it ties in.
Phineas Parker ended up here.
Exactly. So that not here, but here. Specifically. So he dies in 1791, and what is interesting is that his estate listing, his inventory, is very small because he doesn't appear to have been a very large cutter. You had different classes and lists, like you had the big wigs like Thomas Potts and the Mains, and then you had like the middlemen like Thomas Paslow, and Phineas tend to have been somebody with smaller property, and so he's not necessarily cutting the same amount that they're doing, but you can see from his inventory that he has a stair, which we know stairs are used for pulling out logs, and it talks about ironwork for a yoke. So, right? Different things like that. And it talks about how the fact that he was cutting mahogany at different areas as well. So maybe not on works that he owned, but that he was able to, through some agreement, cut from other people as well. Also, it shows, for example, it gives names of people that he might have had agreements with, like Barton. Barton Creek is around in the area. And Potts, Tucker. And so you have this map. This is a later map now. This map is from like 1805, 1806, and it's after Phineas, because Phineas dies in 1791. And the Mount Hope area is then completely taken over by Thomas Potts. So this is him lodging, saying this is my work. And he also claims half of Society Hall.
Yes, exactly. He had here, and then he went into business with a gentleman called Gordon here. Technically, you shouldn't own two mahogany works side by side, but they had ways of going about to circumvent, of course, as you know, right? But what is interesting and what this is showing is that whereas in 1787 this was active, by this time this is being referred to as an old or former settlement. Okay. So he's not necessarily, I guess after he dies, he takes it over. They might not have still been doing anything there, but you can still see these little lines here. These are trucking paths that they would pull logwood out exactly to the river. Exactly. Yes. Okay. And then you also see paths coming from Barton Creek here, crossing Barton Creek River, and then going out to the Belize River through Mount Hope. It is exciting work. I mean, I work at the archives and I work mainly with the paper-based records. So to be able to have these and then come here with the guys and actually dig and see the life that was being lived on these lands, it's fascinating.
Well, thank you so much. All the best. Mary, you have ceded your position to a good friend of mine. Right?
Over to the master himself, yes. So this is Mr. Giovanni Pinello, or Mr. P, as I call him.
You call him Mr. P?
Mr. P, because we work together quite a bit, ISCR, Belize Archives, and he is a public history officer there. But I call him Jack of all trades because he really does it all.
Let's get an overview from you, Giovanni. I've had an exciting day today. You were there when we found these, and I will never forget this experience, So let's get an overview of this whole project from the viewpoint of niche.
I know that Dr. Walden, when he approached us, he was, talking about Maya archaeology. And of course, when you look at the landscape on the riverbank here at the mouth of Lower Dover, Little Barton Creek actually, it shows you the landscape in and of itself indicates that there is a mound. Yeah. And it's not just a natural mound. Yeah. Right. It definitely has some Maya archaeology. And then to hear that he has come across artifacts that go to the 19th century. And I wouldn't be surprised if he can also find others older than that. And so I took the time when he invited me. He said, "You're going to come around," and we said, "Sure, we need to see what we have." And so what we've done, and I just want to highlight a few things. Beyond the Maya era, we also know that in this area, the Spaniards would have come around. There is evidence, and I want to remind ourselves that in 1655, Captain Francisco Perez had gotten permission from the Comandante at Bacalar, and they were looking to round up the Maya in this area. A few miles north from where we are would be Roaring Creek, present-day Roaring Creek. That area would have been known as Saxus. There was a place in that area known as Saxus, White Sands. And Captain Perez, in his matricula, a census, a record of people, he jots down a number of names. And we see Spanish Christian names with Maya surnames. We also see full Maya names of people residing in these areas all the way towards Tipu. So we know that the river, the Belize River, the most important, sorry for, I don't mean it, but indeed. The only form of transportation. Right. The main conduit in our country reveals life has been here from time immemorial. Unfortunately, the people who lived here did not necessarily write. And I say did not necessarily because until we find whatever records may be, hopefully we can find them, then it brings out more of the story as Mary has indicated. So also we see that Anglo-Spanish rivalry would occur in this area. We've seen records from 1733 where the Spanish, in seeking to dislodge the English, make a report between March and May of 1733. We know of a group of Spaniards coming, they say 100 leagues up the Belize River. So 100 leagues, that's about 300 miles. We're here about 200 miles from the river mouth. But they did capture a number of Englishmen, English women, and there's also reports of Indians. And by Indians, we know that they're referring to Maya. Yeah. And they were enslaved Africans. And so by 1765, the location laws, with the British establishing themselves, the location laws are passed. And so how much land can you own? You can't own two properties in the same area. And, there were ways around it. So eventually, many of these persons who settled in, they were not the wealthiest. They would form companies. They would get loans from companies in England, in London. Some of the same agents in Belize would eventually acquire these lands. And so we're aware that lands in this area coming towards 1787, when the Spanish come in and they do the demarcation of that boundary to the south along the Sibun River in compliance with the 1786 Convention of London. I've seen documents, both English and Spanish documents, that reveal that as they tried to find the headwaters of the Sibun River up in the Maya Mountains and coming across to the Belize River, they were a few miles south from where we are at this point. And that would have been 1787. So Captain Henry Grimarest, Colonel Henry Grimarest, and people like Valentin Delgado, and many of these other Spaniards met with John Garbot, who had been one of the English commissioners, and looking at establishing the boundary in 1786-87. Yeah. So again, it's close by because they could not find the headwaters, and they find a way to come around Garbot's Creek. That's what, maybe 5-6 miles south from here. Fast forward to the 1800s, we see then that the enslaved Africans did not just sit back. There was rebellion. And when I saw Dr. Skaggs show you the axe, the blunted axe, my mind went to, resistance, right? You break the axe, you find a way for the axe not to function. I wouldn't go fell that tree for the enslaver. So maybe that could be, But by 1820, 1819, 1820, there are records. There's one from the superintendent, George Arthur, about the last known slave uprising. And I say the last known slave uprising in Belize because, there may be other documents.
Yeah, Runaway Creek and all of these places.
Right.
And
So we find a document that speaks about Will and Sharper. That's how the story has come up. Will and Sharper. And they led this uprising. The area that the colonial records, the colonial authorities speak about, extends from the region of Roaring Creek south towards Barton Creek, towards the Belize River. So this area, that's right. And so Mount Hope then, Society Hall as it would become known, also features as an area in which the enslaved Africans in Belize carried out one of the major, in fact, the major uprising. And
doesn't this all establish that the Spaniards never exercised sovereignty over this area?
Well, yes and no. Because why sign treaties with the Spaniards? Why sign the treaties with the Spaniards? Right? And why ask the Spaniards for permission to open plantation grounds or garden grounds?
That was Britain and
Spain. Right. And that was done through the authorities in Yucatan. So the Captain General of Yucatan would authorize the commandant at Bacalar to go ahead. And one of those persons who issues some of these garden plots was Rafael Llobet. 1787, 1789, and there are demarcation of the boundaries. So that's how some of these location laws are even cemented further. And so fast forward to 1839, we understand that, and again I saw this, I've read through the records, John Lloyd Stephen, the American diplomat in Central America, he's heading to Palenque. And coming upriver, he is given permission by then Superintendent Colonel MacDonald to go up the Belize River towards the Petén in getting towards Palenque. And his report, it's known as the Walker-Caddy expedition. Patrick Walker, the keeper of records, and John Caddy, an army official in the West India Regiment, they come up the Belize River. And so again, it features that people were in and around this area, particularly because I read at Tiger Run, which is just again a few miles south from here. Enslaved Africans prepared, and along with the people living there, prepared a reception for these colonial officers, Walker, Caddy, and other African rank and file of the British West India Regiment as they were heading towards Palenque. And there's the mention of the Mirimba. So they had a dance with the Mirimba in this general area. Could it have been at Lower Dover? But the record shows Tiger Run. So people were in and around these areas, knowing that the creeks were the conduit for logs that would be dumped into the Belize River and waiting for those floods. The rain that fell today, I was thinking about it, this would have been the time when the logwood cutters, the mahogany cutters would have been waiting, there's more rain, so the logs will come down, we'll get the opportunity to head back home. And I want to fast forward another 20 years to 1855, when the colonial authorities passed on a legislation that is known as the British Honduras Land Titles Act. Many of the small landholders had gone bankrupt, and what they had mortgaged were the lands that they claimed. So people like Captain Francis Hickey, whose wife Mary Hickey would have owned areas of claimed areas around Barton Creek. She had to cede those up. Some of these persons who gave loans, the companies, would call in for the mortgage, and so the British Honduras Company, John Hyde and Company, and in this area in particular, I see a record of 1862, and I know Doc is going to have a blast with this, but there was one company, Sheldon, Bias and Company. They would claim lands in this area. Sheldon, Bias and Company. Young Toledo and Company would also claim territories, claim lands in this area throughout the 1860s, 1870s.
So Young Toledo was all over because they had the Toledo district as well, right?
And they were giving out loans, and when you call in, if you can't, remember they're exhausting the resources, they're exploiting all the forest, the timber, and then the prices go up, they fluctuate up and down. So when I saw that little coin, it's okay, how are these coins used? I know that for a fact, two people from Petén were in this area. In fact, there's a document, again, the Walker-Caddy expedition speaks about people from Petén in this area. We know that many of the cutters were also buying timber from the Petén area and floating it upriver, downriver to Belize town.
Yeah.
So by 1867, many of these cutters would also have to respond to the Maya, because the Maya began, remember that the 1859 treaty between Britain and Guatemala would establish a western boundary, and the western boundary as we know it today. And in the demarcation of that boundary, there was conflict. The original descendants of the Maya living in western Belize would confront the British as they were establishing the western boundary. Suffice it to say that by 1867, there is a mention of Mount Hope in a document that Marcos Canul sends to the cutters. It's a Spanish letter that is sent by Marcos Canul to the colonial authorities, reminding that they need to tell all these cutters that, hey, you need to pay up. You need to pay for the cutting of logs in this area. And there's a list. So when we look at the list and we transcribe it, they speak about branch. And we all know branch mouth, just outside of San Ignacio.
Yeah.
Docuron, as it is written, Docuron, we know it's Docuron. Docron. Panya Ocote, Spanish Lookout. Monte Hope, Mount Hope, right in the area where we are. Yongyal, Ranchitrak, that's Little Orange Walk, further just a short distance up north of Roaring Creek. So we know that people were in and around this area. There's also further conflict. The Maya issue out threats, and the historical records say that the Maya burnt some of the Bacadiers in this area. But the English took revenge in 1867. And so who burnt which areas is, to me, it's left up to debate. Because we're getting one side of the story. So we know that people like John Carmichael, Colonel Robert Harley, with the West India Regiment came in and around this area. They burnt down places, except for the churches, at San Pedro City, Santa Teresa. This is in the region of Spanish Lookout, all the way to Chorro, just outside of Bolitri. So again, until we read and we find the documents that also tell the other side of the coin, this is what we find. And so it was not strange that the muskets, that the bullets, and I say it in this way because for us, when we find these things, it's like it proves something. So the presence of the British West India Regiment, I know Dr. Skaggs was showing you the remnants of
of muskets.
Right. So could it have been from the British West India Regiment? But the cutters themselves, remember that you had a captain who led the gang of cutters, and the trustworthiness that he was given also allowed for that person to have perhaps a weapon. So there are many ways that we can explain the presence of many of these tools of armaments in and around the area. So in a nutshell then, by the time we come to the 1900s, a little bit Belize is more stable, quote unquote. And we see the rise of the British Honduras Territorial Force. We know that people are living in and around the area. Already you've seen how Lower Dover came to be, the persons who would buy the land, who would claim the land, their people, the enslaved persons that they had, Phineas Parker in particular, etc. So this area is rich in Maya history, in post-Maya history, the colonial era, and even to this day.
Yeah, Jamali. Take care, my brother. Always good seeing you. Understanding our history allows us to appreciate our present, right?
Yes. Philosophy that I live by is history not taught is history often repeated. And so if we teach our younger generation what happened, we will avoid making the same mistakes and criticizing or belittling another set of people.
So this is important for Belize, right? Yes. You live around here, Alicia?
I live in Belize City.
So. And how do you get up here?
Well, I came up here the first 3 weeks. This is my second field school. And so the first 3 weeks I came with BVAR, the Archaeological School with Dr. Jaime. And I met Dr. John through Dr. Jaime. So it was a quick taxi ride to the airport and come back here to Cayo. So it's been an interesting 5 weeks so far.
Now, what would you tell other young people like yourself about the importance of knowing our history?
History is knowledge, and knowledge is something that nobody could take away from you. And the more you know is the more you are able to apply yourself in society and the way how you could carry yourself. And so as a young person, it is important for propagandas not to get to you. And history and knowledge helps you to differentiate between what is truth and what is not truth.
So. No, at this camp, I had the opportunity of finding this nail and this knife. Have you done anything similar to this? Have you dug up anything, and what did it feel like when you found it?
It is an adrenaline rush. The first day we were doing training, and I just casually stumbled over a bullet, and I was like, okay, now my expectations are high. And it is interesting to be out there and you're digging up the past and you're seeing things play out. So, yeah, right in front of you. So that's pretty nice.
Okay. Well, Keisha, thank you so much for talking with me. Can I shake your hand? It's been a pleasure and honor to see the interest that you're displaying in knowing our history. So congratulations. All the best. Now, Lisha, we have been joined by Dr. John, right? And you said that Dr. John is the person who taught you a whole lot about this.
Yes, he is. He's my mentor. I met him through Dr. Jaime, and from there we just clicked, and he has been nothing but a great help guiding me into the anthropology and archaeology field.
Now, Lisha, what I will do right now is allow you to ask questions to Dr. John.
Oh my goodness.
Dr. John, let's go.
Okay, so what made you start the anthropology and archaeology field?
That is a very good question. So actually, the house I grew up in dated to 1698 in England, and as a young boy, I used to dig through my mother's vegetable plot and found old historic pots, flat irons, metal, not dissimilar to the stuff we've been finding the last couple of days. And this went on, and I started an archaeology club at school when I was 8. And we started taking the boxes of all the historic material to school, which they were very supportive of at first. And then we ended up with 8 or 9 boxes of all this rusty old metal and old pots and things. So it's all dated to like the late 1800s. And then it was time my parents decided to send me off to a field school. So at 11, I started excavating Bronze Age sites in the UK, and then it was just fairly simple from there. I just carried on digging every summer, and didn't stop, and now here I am. So,
I don't have a lot of questions, but one of them would be, what made you choose Belize out of every other site?
That is a good question. So that is a very good question. So I became very interested in the ancient Maya, particularly how the society operated, and also what was traditionally been called the Maya collapse, right? So this depopulation event, political collapse that we see in the 10th century AD. And so I was always fascinated in that. But when I came to Belize, I fell in love with Belize, and I fell in love with the people, the environment, the food, the history, the archaeology, everything else. And so I'm very fortunate today to be able to conduct archaeology and spend so much time here in Belize.
Well, thank you.
And he taught you a lot about archaeology, right?
Yes.
What did you enjoy doing most?
Oh, I like getting my hands dirty.
Dirty.
Yes. Digging and... Well, so far, the metal detecting has been amazing. So hearing that beep, 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 and then you hear the baby crying, and when the baby gets very loud, then we know we hit the jackpot. We have to dig something up.
I like how you put that, Lisha. Definitely like how you put that. So overall now.
Yes. Yeah.
What next?
Well, that's a good question. So we're at a point where we've got quite a lot of information about the historic site here, and we certainly would like to conduct some more investigations. We might apply to excavate part of the site. Now we know quite where it is, and that might be something that Leisha and myself are working on next summer. We're certainly very interested in carrying on conducting all the archival work that Miss Mary and Mr. Pinello have been conducting, because that is certainly telling us a lot, and that is really fascinating context. So I think we'd also be very interested longer term in interviewing and talking to local people who have maybe they had grandparents, or there's some type of oral history, oral testimony as to what was going on here 100 years ago. So trying to put all these pieces of the puzzle together, I think that will be the next step. Okay. Yeah.
And Lisha, what is your immediate future looking like? What are you going to do? So you're learning here with Dr. John, but education-wise and maybe career-wise, where are you heading?
Well, my immediate plan after this, currently I am applying over to Galen and transferring my credits over to Galen into the anthropology and getting my feet more deeper into the waters. I have treaded into some dangerous waters that I don't want to come out of now. And so it is with the help of Dr. John that I will be eventually over at Galen for the fall semester.
Oh, great. Because Dr. John, you're using your Galen shirt here. You're influencing a lot of people.
It's wonderful to be. It's wonderful to represent the university and be attracting so much fantastic young talent to archaeology.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We have a nice archaeology program going at Galen.
Yes. Fantastic archaeology program, and I'd strongly encourage anyone who's interested in archaeology to apply.
Well, we want to say thanks to the principals and owners of Lower Dover, LOWERDOVER, Lower Dover. It's certainly been an exciting day for me. I enjoyed every minute of it. I met some wonderful people, and I want to thank everyone for the great job they're doing in promoting the history and discovering things that affect us here in Belize, because the knowledge of our past certainly impacts our present and shapes our future. So thank you guys for all that you do. It's been a pleasure and honor and a privilege meeting you. John, anything you want to tell me before I go?
Tune back in maybe in the next year or two to find out more. I'm sure we'll
look forward to it.
Yes, I'm sure there'll be more mysteries resolved.
All right.
So yes.
Anything from you?
Well, go Eagles.
Okay. You know, what I experienced here today was a lot of love, right?
Yeah.
You know, a whole lot of love for what we're doing, love for Belize, you know, love for archaeology, love for our lives, and thanking God for the blessings He has showered on us, right? You know, so this is all about love for what we do, love for our country, but love is always a choice that we make, because we could choose to do other things, but when we choose to do what we love, you know what we will always say? Yes. What we will always say is this, and you could join me in saying it. Belize and beyond. Thanks for choosing love.
Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one.